CBSE Board, Class 11, History, Chapter 2, Part 16, Audio by Renee Matthew. The historians of the 20th century of Islam had largely followed the interest and method of Orientalism, and we saw that Orientalism was gaining its importance all over the world. And what was so important about Orientalism? They included new topics, they had allied disciplines. Now we have to go further into this particular point. What do you mean by allied disciplines? It is a kind of combination where Islam is connected with economics, anthropology, that is a study of human beings, human culture, tradition, and statistics. And it has also got refined in many aspects of Orientalist studies. So from here itself we can see that Orientalism took a different turn. The historiography of Islam, that is the way in which Islam evolved, how the religion evolved, can be studied with modern historical methods by those who may not share the customs and beliefs of the people they are studying. So that is a kind of way in which the historians, they will go and meet people individually, personally. But it's not necessary that they put the details of these people in the documents. They may not disclose the details of these people, but we will always get an access to how they lived. We will get an access to the culture and belief of these people. That is the meaning of modern historical methods. Now the next part of the text, the rise of Islam in Arabia, faith, community and politics. So as the points from each slide is explained, it is good for you to go back and recap on these points because some of the terms are in Arabic or in Urdu. So English translation is also there, but it's good for you to recap always after each slide. Now we saw Prophet Muhammad. He is the messenger of God. He's believed as a messenger of God by the Muslims, by the Muslim community all over the world. That is the respect given to him. So Muhammad preached the worship of a single God. So that is what is the meaning of monolithism, or you can say not polytheism. Earlier the Muslim community was dominated by polytheism. So now it is like monotheism was propagated by Prophet Muhammad. And he also talked about the membership of a single community believers. That is, believing in one God, and this particular community will have to be just one. A single community. It shouldn't be divided. Okay, which believed in a principle known as Ummah. So this particular word is repeated throughout the next few sessions which deals with the expansion of Muslim community. So belief in one God and the single community of believers known as Ummah. Now this was the origin of Islam, and that is why it was different, because it believed or propagated the belief in one God. Muhammad was an Arab by culture and language, and he was a merchant by profession, a very decent and highly profiled merchant of those days. Now the Arab culture in the 6th century was confined to the Arabian Peninsula. It was existing only within the Arabian Peninsula and some of the areas of southern Syria and Mesopotamia. So if you see the culture of Mesopotamia, there is a kind of connection with the Arab culture. There's a lot of connection with the Arab culture. So Arabian Peninsula, southern Syria and Mesopotamia, those were the places which propagated Arab culture. This particular point is very important because that is from where the Islamic culture, the Muslim community emerged. Now, the Arabs were divided into tribes. I told you about the community of believers, that is Ummah, the single belief. So the Arabs were divided into tribes. Now these tribes were known as Qabila. Okay? Qabila. They were divided into tribes. On what basis were they divided into tribes? Now each tribe, just like how you have a tribesman, the head of a tribe, was led by a chief. And the chief was chosen partly on the basis of his family connections. That is, he will have to have a lineage or some kind of hereditary where he can be chosen as the head. But it was more for his courage, his personal courage, wisdom, generosity. So the tribes, the word for tribes is Kabila. And all these things together is known as Murava. So based on these things, people selected the chief of a tribe. Personal courage, wisdom and generosity. Very important point. Once the chief is selected, they had their own god or goddess. And it was worshipped as an idol. Idol, another word is sanam. In a shrine called masjid. So shrine, the place of worship is known as masjid. Even now they have got these names. So idol is known as sanam. So they had this polytheism. It was carrying over, and this is a time when Muhammad was trying to change the belief of the Arabs. So earlier belief, we are looking at the god and goddess and the different diversity that they had in beliefs. Now many Arab tribes were there. Okay, what were the tribes? How did they live? These 2 points are very important. That is, they were led by a chief and they had their own god and goddesses. Now the division of the Arab tribes, before that you need to look at the picture of Prophet Muhammad and the culture of Arabs in the 6th century. This is how more or less the same thing is followed even now. Now many Arab tribes were there. There were the people who moved from one place to another, known as the nomads or the Bedouins. Even now, if you go to the Middle East, you can see people who move from place to place, and their life is really enjoyable. They always enjoy every day. They have camels, they have got their livestock and everything, and they were known as the nomads. Now, why did they move from one place to another? It is in search of green areas, because most of the desert part is not irrigated and it is dry, parched. So because of all these reasons, they went in search of green areas, which were known as oasis. Oasis is a place where you have a lot of date palms, streams of gurgling water and all that, where they stationed for some time and then they moved to the next place. And they went in search of food, especially dates. You know that people living in the deserts are prone to the nutritious dates. And also fodder for their camels. The only animals which survived in the desert is the camel. And some usually settled in cities and practiced trade or agriculture. This was their occupation. If you take the history of any Middle Eastern country, you will see that trade and agriculture was their primary importance. Now, Muhammad also had his own tribe. His tribe's name is Quraysh. Quraysh, okay? And that lived in Mecca and controlled the main shrine there. The famous Cuba-like structure called Kaaba, in which idols were placed. So inside Kaaba, all the idols were placed, and the tribe actually worshipped, or this is a great place of importance even now where they go for pilgrimage and religious journey, right? So his tribe's name is Quraysh, and Quraysh was the tribe which actually protected the Kaaba, which is now in Makkah. So this is the picture of the tribe and how they lived, the Bedouins. This is the culture of the Bedouins. Now something more about the Makkah. Why is it so important? Or how did Mecca became a very important place of religious pilgrimage? Even now, the Muslims, they find it really interesting, and they feel that at least once they should visit this place. More than once is like a great blessing, but at least once they should visit the place. That is the kind of custom that they follow. So there were a lot of tribes outside Mecca, and they always considered this particular place, Kaaba, very holy. It's not only the Quraysh tribes which followed Makkah. Even the other tribes considered Kaaba very holy. And they were also interested in installing their idols at this shrine. So getting the idols to this particular place and installing it there was a great blessing for tribes outside Kaaba also. So they used to make annual pilgrimages. Annual pilgrimages means once in a year you will go visit the place, go for Hajj to the shrine. So this pilgrimage itself is known as Hajj. So these terms are very important. Annual pilgrimage. So the tribes outside Kaaba also considered this place, Makkah, very, very important. And it was a kind of great deal for them to get their idols installed at this shrine. The next point. Where was Mecca located? It is located on the crossroads of a trade route, a place where people used to carry a lot of trade between Yemen and Syria. And that is why this place is very important even now. That enhanced or elaborated the city's importance between Yemen and Syria, crossroads of a trade route. That is where Mecca is located. Now this particular shrine, or where the idols are placed, it was a sanctuary. The name for sanctuary is Haram. What is the meaning of a sanctuary? It is a place where violence was forbidden and protection given to all visitors. So anybody from any caste, any clan, anybody can come and visit there. Everybody will be treated equally. There is no place for violence there. Everybody is equal in the eyes of God. That is the concept that they follow. And protection is given to everybody, all the visitors. Anybody who comes there can find a solace. What about the pilgrimage and commerce that gave the nomadic tribes? Okay, nomadic tribes are ones who travel from one place to another. Settled tribes are people who settle there for a long time. So it gave a lot of opportunity for the people. Like when they come to Mecca, they can get to know about the trade routes, commerce. They can also communicate with a lot of people who come there for the Hajj, right? People from their own community from different parts of the world. It is not easy to communicate with the same community sitting at different places. So they can have a chance for that, where the tribes get opportunities to communicate with one another and also to share their beliefs and customs. So they will get to know about the people who are living all around the world. They will have a really good interaction. So that is the main purpose of coming for this Hajj, sharing the same customs and belief. Now, polytheistic Arabs, why? Because they believed in all these idols and gods and goddesses. Okay, polytheism. Arabs were polytheistic. They were not familiar with the notion of a supreme God, that is Allah, the main God. And that was because of their influence from the Jewish and Christian tribes. Because earlier, the Jewish and the Christians also did not have the concept of monotheism. Now it is like that. Earlier they believed in so many things. Pagan belief is prominent. Pagan belief is something which dominated all the religions. So the Muslims were under the Jewish and Christian tribes because they were more powerful in those days. So because of the influence, they also started believing in all the gods. And they were not familiar with the supreme God, Allah. So who was the first person to propagate supremacy of God? Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad. So they had an attachment to idols, shrines. It was more immediate and strong. If they had a problem, they will immediately approach the shrine and the idol. So that was the custom that they followed in those days. Okay, I hope all the terms are very familiar with you. Now, around 1612, how did Muhammad come into being? Muhammad declared himself to be the messenger of God. What is the name for messenger? The term for messenger? Rasul. He said that he is the messenger of God. He has come to carry a lot of messages from God directly. And God had commanded him to preach to all the people in the world that Allah alone should be worshipped, not anybody else. Just one God should be worshipped and not anybody else.